Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Lahnert, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast. Hey, welcome back into the Fieldhouse Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Lance Lahnert. Jimmy Lackey here today as well. I get in the bad habit of just calling you Jimmy, but
that's all right.
Hey, what's going on today? How you been?
I'm good. This is going to be a little unique.
It is going to be a little unique, but wait, you got to tell us, aren't you? Another added to the grandfather thing.
We did. We added grandson number 4 last Friday, and Kim and I had the other 3 boys at our house, 5 dogs.
Wow.
Daughter and son-in-law at the hospital, and then son-in-law number 2 and his wife, my middle daughter, and then Hallie and Colton all went to Stillwater for Luke's brother's graduation at Oklahoma State. So we had a blast. We had 3 grandsons. They're 4, 2.5, and 1. All of them walking now, and so. And then all the dogs, it was...
5 dogs?
We had all 5 of them.
You have 5?
No.
Oh.
We had everybody's dogs.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
So we have 3.
You do have 3?
Yeah.
What are their names?
Maddie,
Okay.
Zip, and Oliver.
So
Yorkie,
yeah.
Shih Tzu, Golden Doodle.
Wow. Yeah. Those are, yeah.
All big buddies.
I have a Shih Tzu named Teddy Ballgame.
There you
okay.
go.
And we've been contemplating, should we get him a buddy to play with?
Absolutely. We used to have 3 Shih Tzus. Shih Tzus are the best.
Yeah.
They don't shed.
Yeah.
They're sweet. And
now, when you take them on a walk, though, they do have to pee on everything.
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 Is it a male?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Females are a little different.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
used to have female
Well, did it help? Does it help him having 3 dogs, two other buddies?
buddies. They need a buddy. You know, our Shih Tzus honestly were my favorites, and I'll tell you real quickly.
We didn't know this was going
Libby, but Libby lived
got
to
a
be
dog.
almost 18 years old, and she was the middle of the 3 Shih Tzus that we originally got. And so take this back a year ago, December, and I've never been to Florida, but we went out to watch the Lady Buffs play in a tournament out in Florida. It was me and Kim, and then Hallie had graduated from WT, so we took her and Colton with us. And everywhere we went in Tampa area, people were walking their dogs.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how many Shih Tzus I saw. And we just lost Libby back in May, and I told Kim, I said, I'm going to have another one of those. So we come back, and we had about a week or so's worth of work before Christmas holidays. And I come home from work that day, and everybody's in the front living room, and there's something going on. I said, what are y'all doing? They go, we're playing with your Christmas present. I go, what? And I walk in there, and there was Zip. I mean, he was this big.
Wow.
And Kim had called these people while we were in Florida and said, hey, do you have any of these left? And he goes, we do. And so she picked him out, and he's awesome. So, I love
Teddy
Shih Tzus.
Ballgame's amazing. I've fallen in love with the little guy, but sometimes I wonder if we need to get him a playmaker.
Yeah. Our we have a dog door, and that's the best $100 I ever spent is putting a dog door in. They can come and go in and out as they want. And we started out with 1 Shih Tzu many years ago, and a year later we got Libby, and then we got Jasper, and they're just the best. But they love to run in packs. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll think about that.
Anyway,
hey, we're going to talk some local, just some things that are going on in the sporting world today on the podcast. Can't thank you enough. But big news out of Randall High School. Trevor Johnson was elevated to be the boys basketball coach. 10 years as an assistant there, Jimmy. We've had Leslie Broadhurst on. He did retire officially. They named the gym after him, which was a way cool ceremony. I was in the gym at that time. But Trevor Johnson being named Randall boys basketball coach. Here's my thought on this. This is one of the most loyal guys you'll ever meet. He's just a great cat. He's just a good dude. But for the CISD to reward loyalty, I applaud that. Yeah. Because so many times, and I say this over and over, but a coach will pay their dues in your system, and then you send them off, say, hey, go get some head coaching experience. Go prove yourself somewhere else. No, I proved myself right here as a loyal assistant, and for them to hire. First of all, he knows his basketball. Great relationship guy with the kids. They really, really enjoy being around him, what he stands for. And I just want to say I really am happy for Trevor Johnson.
You know, Leslie's been there 36 years, and my dad always told me, don't follow massive success.
Yeah.
You know,
Don't follow the legend.
yeah,
of course.
don't
Yeah.
follow that big set of shoes.
Yeah.
And the good news for Trevor is he's been right beside him. And on top of that, Leslie's still around.
Yeah.
You know, his mentor and his confidant are still available to him. And think about it from the kid's perspective, too. I would think, and I'm just thinking here, it makes that transition smoother for them, too, because there's just not this anticipation of who's the new person. You've got a very unique situation in that a coach has left after 36 years, and he's been the only coach that school's ever known. Guy from the same school is going to step in, and I agree with you in this particular case. Rewarding loyalty was the right decision, 100%.
No, I love seeing that. And they did that also with John Peterson as the athletic director, 2 years, although he's a young guy for an AD, 35, 36. So Canyon ISD is doing things right.
I got a comment about that, though. How are you supposed to get experience when you go in, you interview for these jobs, and they tell you, well, you need to have more experience? How are you supposed to get it if they don't give you a chance? And I'm living, breathing of that. You know, they gave me that alumni job when I was 27 years old. I was green as grass, and I didn't know anything. But I worked hard, and I took advantage of that opportunity. But if somebody doesn't give you a chance, I mean, you were young when you went to the paper.
Yeah, and I started out as an agate clerk, and nobody knows what agate is anymore, but it was that little type that used to be in the newspaper, you know what I mean, on the scoreboard page.
Yep.
And I was called the agate clerk. I wouldn't even call it a sports writer.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, you do start out. You have to get a chance, but I think Canyon's doing it right now, and I really like that.
I'll take it one step further. These young folks, and we've got two of them sitting off set over here. They know more than you and I do.
Oh, totally.
And
There's
so
no doubt about
I'm not afraid to say that.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to bring young people in and give them opportunities, because if you don't, where are they going to get it?
Well, and also they're enthusiastic about it. Plus the knowledge is there.
Yeah, they know the newest, latest, and greatest of what it is we're trying to do.
And this is John's first hire officially, Trevor Johnson.
Yeah, that's a gutsy one. So
these two guys are in the same boat.
Before we dive back into today's episode, let me share a fun fact with you. Did you know that the Fieldhouse Podcast is a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network? That's right, Kids Inc. isn't just any sports organization. We have been a source for youth sports since 1945. From teaching kids the fundamentals of teamwork to fostering a love for the game, Kids Inc. is where champions are made. And here's the best part. As a listener of the Fieldhouse Podcast, you're a part of the Kids Inc. family too. Head over to kidsinc.org to learn more about current registrations, upcoming sports leagues, and how you can get involved in supporting your local young athletes. But wait, here's the kicker. Have you heard of the Rock Rose Sports Park Home Field Advantage campaign? It's a game changer for our community, aiming to provide state-of-the-art facilities for young athletes to train and compete. So if you believe in the power of sports to shape young lives and want to be a part of something truly special, check out kidsinc.org today and join us in making a difference. Together, let's continue to support the next generation of champions and to ensure that every child has the opportunity to succeed both on and off the field.
We had Michael McBroom on one of our podcasts. I really enjoyed that conversation. He now is officially, as he told us on May 15th, the athletic director at Stephen F. Austin. That's kind of weird to say, but he is. And WT had big news this week coming out for their interim.
Yeah. You know, Thompson Mayberry, I've known Thompson a long time, and a lot of people around the community have. You know, Thompson worked at corporate systems and worked at SPS back in the old before XL was SPS, and had an opportunity to go into corporate relations in the athletic department here a 3 years ago. And full transparency, Thompson serves on our board here at Kids Inc. Great guy. I've known him for many, many years. But they've elevated him to the interim athletic director and announced yesterday that they've put out a nationwide search for a vice president of athletics. Not a director of athletics.
Yeah.
A vice president of athletics. And so
take us into that. What do you think that means?
Well, having worked at a university, if you're just talking pure hierarchy, that's an elevated position. That's putting someone up there, and Michael's position reported directly to the president.
Right.
If you go look at the organizational chart that's in place right now at WT, and I look at it regularly, the athletic director's way down here, but if you look at the line, it connects to the president's office. And so it's putting them on there where your vice presidents, other high-level officials are at that level. And so to me, I see it from an outside perspective as a huge commitment to our athletic department.
Yeah.
And
Do you like it?
doesn't bother me as long as here and now you're asking me personally.
Well, yeah,
with
that's
athletics, and let's talk about that. It's not like Michael's leaving the cupboard bare.
Oh no, my gosh!
I would say it's
not.
just the opposite.
Total opposite.
And so the expectation from this point forward is to stay there.
Yeah, we're talking facilities. We're talking quality of coaches that have been hired. We're talking the way it just runs day to day. It's not broken.
You and I both know we've got a large contingency out there that would like to see us back at the Division I level.
Yep.
I personally, and I'm talking Jimmy Lackey only, first and foremost, I think the NCAA is broken, and so until it's fixed, I don't know what Division I subpar or Division II or anything else looks like. But for me, I love the fact that with the exception of our football program of late, we're pretty competitive in everything.
Nationally.
On the national level. And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that our kiddos, like Michael said, when they come here, they know they're going to have an opportunity to win a championship. And it's fun as a fan. Kim and I go to pretty much everything.
Yep.
And it's nice to be competitive, whether it's
Yeah.
baseball, softball, volleyball, track and field, whatever. We're competitive.
My concern is Division II football seems lost. It's a ship in the ocean with no anchor. You know what I mean? No one really knows where it's going, and that's the Stephen F's and the
Tarleton's
McNeeses, the Tarletons, the Commerces. They're in the same boat as well. So
They are.
That football one's hard to figure out. I'm with you. I kind of like the D2 being the big fish in the littler pond rather than the little fish in the big pond. I kind of like that. So,
I went to.
But I will say that will be a topic, in my opinion, whoever the new AD is, whether they're going to try to go Division I or not, because you know this and I know this. WT was invited along with Tarleton and Commerce to be the third team that went with them in this move to Division I by the A&M system, and they declined it.
Yeah. And so, you know as well as I do, Lance, at the end of the day, everything in athletics comes down to budgets. I mean, let's just shoot straight about it.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to budgets. But dadgum, we've come too far to take any steps backwards.
I agree.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I would like to see us remain extremely competitive. If that next move is to do something else, I don't know that you do that before they fix some things. I think the university presidents are going to have to tell the NCAA, listen, this thing's broken and we've got to fix it. You've got these Power 5 conferences, and then there's everybody else.
Right, yeah.
And we talked about the regional thing and how do you go about setting that up, and but there's some things that have to be fixed. And then where do we fit? What does that look like, and where's our best place after they fix it?
No, I agree. And then I think that will be a topic with the new AD during their interviews is the budget.
Sure.
I think you have to be due diligent if you are an applicant and in that interview and ask about it because there's some rumors going around, and they're just rumors right now. We have not seen anything concrete on possible budget cuts to the athletic department, things like that. But that – and I'm sure they don't mind me saying this, but the coaches are talking about that down there. That's something they are really discussing and concerned with.
Well, as a fan and whatever you want to call it, a booster, whatever, I hope that's certainly not the case.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've come too far. I'll take it from the Trevor Johnson discussion. You don't follow the big shoes. Well, here's another case where you're following the big shoes. Here's one thing I believe for my staff, 100%, and I tell my staff this regularly, I'm not ever going to do anything to set you up for failure. And don't set up a new AD for failure and then cut their legs out from under them by cutting all the budget and your coaches as well. I just don't believe in setting people up for failure. And anytime you you make a drastic change to a department that's on an uphill scale, you take the risk of that. And I'll go back to my comments when we sat and talked to Michael about this, and I go back to the days when I ran the alumni office. The athletic department is, whether people like it or not, the number one window from the outside world to any institution. They're on the newscast. They're in the newspaper every day. There's a sports section. Good, bad, or indifferent, there's not a section to education every day, but people watch that sportscast.
Yeah.
It's the last thing on.
That's
It's
a good
why
point.
they put it there, so you'll watch the rest of the newscast to get to the sports. And so it's just, and especially here with our culture being the way it is, it's a big window, and there's a residual effect for students that come to WT to play in our athletic department. They bring other kids with them. And so measure that and quantify that before you make big changes to it. That's a public opinion from one guy.
No, and I will say this: my brother in Colorado Springs watches our pod, and so just so somebody not in our area that's watching it, WT has the best facilities in the nation.
Yep.
Football field, there's a couple of them that are comparable to it, but it's one of the best. It just is. You have all these. You have a turf field softball field. You have a turf field baseball diamond. The basketball arena, the programs themselves sell themselves. Volleyball national champions. You have a state-of-the-art floor that they play on in there. So the athletes at WT play on some of the finest facilities in all of the nation at the D2 level. Yeah. That needs to be known, and that's something they're proud of as well. So why change?
Where do you think our idea for the Rock Grove Sports Park came from?
WT.
You've got these beautiful facilities 10 miles down the road for collegiate level. Why can't we have something like that for our youth? Don't think that we made this up on our own.
No, dust in the wind is what I call it.
Yeah, they've set the standard down there for what a collegiate program looks like. We're trying to mimic that to a certain degree on a youth level for our community and for the kids around here. What an example.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. So, hey, let's move on to a couple of national things. The NFL came out with their schedules. Who is your NFL team?
I don't have one.
Really? You're not a Cowboys fan growing up in Dumas?
I'm a huge Cowboys fan, and I'm old school, Lance. You know me. Landry was done wrong. I'm still mad about that. I love Jimmy. Love Jimmy Johnson.
Okay.
For what he was able to come in and do quickly.
Yeah.
I'm still a Cowboys fan.
All right.
I'll tell you right now, and I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, I'm not a fan of Jerry Jones. But what he's done market-wise and everything else, he's the best at it. You got to give him the credit where credit's due. But how he's gone about doing it just doesn't settle well with me. But I'm still.
But you're a businessman too, and do you realize how successful he is as a businessman?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. He's the best at that level. Now the Chiefs are making a little run at it, but they're not. They're still not there. I mean,
they don't have
what they've done in Arlington, Texas, is a cut above everything else.
Yeah. Here's the lifestyle he leads. I went to a Cowboys game once, Jimmy, and parked. I might have told you the story. Parked 2 miles away for $40 in a hotel parking lot, $50, $60, whatever. Walking in, and wanted to get there early to see the game, and experience it all because you don't get down to too many NFL games. Helicopter lands on the helipad. Who gets out? Jerry Jones. Yeah. He's flying a helicopter to the Cowboys games. Yeah. Right across from the street, walks into the stadium.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
And I'll go back and I will say this, and I'll give him credit where credit's due. Don't misunderstand me. Stay out of the player personnel.
I agree.
The rest of it, that's his expertise. Player personnel is not his expertise. There's people closer to the game that are better at it than he is.
No. They need to get a new voice.
That's the part I have a problem with.
I
the
agree
player
with you.
personnel.
And get a new voice in there. It doesn't have the last name Jones or not affiliated with Jones.
Yep.
Ready to dive deep into the heart of sports? Then tune in, because that is exactly what we are here for at the Fieldhouse Podcast. But the Fieldhouse Podcast isn't just about us talking sports. It's about all of us, our community, our passions, and our love for the game. That's why we're reaching out to any and all local businesses who want to get in early on the action. Whether you're a restaurant looking to pack the house on game day, or a fitness center wanting to help our listeners take their game to the next level, We want to partner with you. By sponsoring the Fieldhouse Podcast, you're not just getting your brand out there, you're becoming a part of our sports family. Reach out to us today at fieldhouse@kidsinc.org. That's KIDSINC.org.
Speaking of that, Netflix gets 2 Christmas games.
Yeah.
So
we got all these papers out. This is what's fun about today's is Ashley and Maddie put all this stuff in front of us, and they've got good stuff to talk about. But yeah, they're going to stream games on Christmas Day.
Yeah, two of the 4 games are going to be on Netflix, so you're going to have to buy that subscription if you want to watch your NFL.
Tonight's the CMAs. If you don't have Amazon Prime, you're going to have to download it. It's not on your.
So what's your thought?
Network. I again, from the business side, it's money talking. Whoever thought someone would come along and knock out the 3 big networks for events like this? 10 years ago, nobody thought about that.
Right.
But this is where we are today, and this is where it is. I'm sitting here pulling stuff up on a computer because you can stream pretty much anything you want. I like the access of it. It's cable versus streaming, if you will, and you have to pick and choose because I'm one that if I'm not careful, I'm going to take it all. I'm an NFL network. The ticket, I take it, I watch it, and I like to be able to watch whatever game I want to watch. If it's football season, Saturday's college day. Kim and I are up watching college game day, and football's on until Monday night football's over. The Thursday night stuff, I love it. It starts on Thursday. You got all the college games. I'm a football guy. I love it.
The only thing I'm worried about is the average fan who can't afford things like this.
They already can't afford to go to the stadium.
Yeah, you can't go to the games. I go to a game every year, and I'm going to be honest. The ticket is $300 to $400, one ticket, okay? And we're not sitting on the 50-yard line. No. Right.
You got Kleenex in case your nose starts to bleed.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. But, no, that's the only thing I'm worried about. I think the game of football is so fun to watch on TV. It's almost made for that. It's much better. I hate to say the vibe in Jerry's world is awesome. But the drunks you see, the fights you see, the other experience –
you talking about youth sports? You talking about
No, I'm talking about the NFL. Yeah, exactly. So, but let's not price the average fan out. You've already priced them out of watching a game.
Yeah,
so
don't gouge them on a streaming service.
But if it's a Denver game, I have to admit I'm a big Broncos fan, and I would get the Netflix subscription and watch that thing. They've got me reeled in.
When you ask about favorite teams, and obviously, I've grown up here. The Cowboys they're the team that I've followed. I loved when Bum Phillips was at Houston. The first NFL game I ever got to go to, my dad took me to a Thanksgiving Day game at the old Cowboy Stadium with the hole in the roof. And I had one of those little 110 cameras, little flat camera, with a little film thing in it. And I took a picture, and the only way you can tell who the 2 people were is one had a cowboy hat on and one had a fedora on. But I have a picture. And Tony Dorsett ran one for 63 that day, and Earl Campbell ran 2 over 60 that day, and the Oilers won that game. But to get to see that firsthand was really, really cool. But I had that one picture I have. Nobody would know who it was other than the hats on their heads because it was from so far away.
Yeah. The first NFL game I ever got to was Old Mile High Stadium, and they were playing the Cowboys, believe it or not.
Wow.
And, it was Roger Staubach was the quarterback. It was insane. You know what I mean? So
Craig and I went to it was a Denver-Dallas preseason game at Dallas one time, and I'm 62, so I forget things. I think those are the only 2 times I've ever been to a professional football game. It's easier to watch it on TV.
Yeah, it is.
The replays, the whole 9 yards. I'd just rather sit in my own chair.
I don't think you're alone, and the expense, the vibe is real. It's a lot of fun just to walk into a stadium and see all these crazy people going fanatics over their teams. I really do
think
like
back
that.
When the kid from Abilene Christian,
Clint
Danielle, whatever, invited Colby and Sarah to the Super Bowl the year they. Was it Tampa Bay was in
wide receiver? Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
One of your former players called and said,
"Well,
hey,
I will say this, not to. Back in the day at the Globe News, we each got to cover a game. We covered all the home games. So
I'm going to break away. This is sitting on the table, but I've got to ask you this because I want our audience to hear it. We've talked about it, but I want to talk about it for a minute. First year Ryan Palmer qualifies for the Masters. You get to go.
Yeah.
and cover that for the Globe News.
Yeah.
Two things: talk about what that was like.
It was
And
his
then talk
second
about-
time, actually. It was his second
It was
time.
his second time.
2010.
And then talk about the Monday after.
Yeah. Well, Palmer qualifies. So, this is the first time I ever got there. Augusta is our sister paper. I get to go there, and you're on the grounds for 7 days. You know what I mean? So I've walked that course for those first 7 days. I was in heaven, man.
I remember a picture of the Tiger Woods press conference, and I see you in the picture. You're sitting up there. I can see you in it.
Yeah, it was the Monday. The Monday was his press conference, that famous one where he had just gone through all the stuff with his wife and everything. Yeah, so I'm on the front row. And the reason I'm on the front row, I got there, and like that was one of the few seats left. Okay?
Wow.
So they give you a little what do they do there is amazing, but they give you a little green ticket. So only the green ticket was allowed in there. Well, I didn't know that. You know, in my press packet was a little green ticket. They say, hey, you get to go to the press conference. I said, like, okay. And it's packed. So I sit on the front row. But and did ask a question. Not a very good one, but I asked a question. Hey. You know what I mean? But anyway, Palmer there. And then now it's became my favorite place one of my favorite places on planet Earth. I call it the happy place. The fans, the players, the media, everybody, for once, is happy to be in the same place. You know what I mean? And to see him tee off, he was so good to me too. But the coolest thing that happened to me that week, you're allowed, at that time you were allowed, and now they all come dressed and all that, but they had a player's locker room, and they still do. They just don't use it. But so I'm interviewing Ryan Palmer, and whose locker was right there? Jack Nicklaus. Yeah.
That's my favorite golfer.
Yeah. And then I got to play. They have a random lottery, and I'm with the Amarillo Globe News, and I'm thinking, like, you got Sports Illustrated at the time, you got ESPN, you got CBS, you got New York Times, you got Dallas Morning News, you got everybody there. I'm thinking, no way they're going to pick somebody from the Globe News to be in their lottery, and sure enough, I got picked.
And so you got to do what?
Play the course the next day, and they were the same pins. Mickelson won that year, 2010, play the same pins on Sunday. They left it the same. Now, the tee boxes are way different. We're way up closer. I borrowed these clubs from the golf writer at Augusta. I thought, man, this guy probably plays a little bit. He's the golf writer for Augusta Chronicle. They were the oldest clubs. I mean, the caddies, and I wrote about it, and he wasn't happy about it, but I wrote about it, that the caddies took out. It was an old Ben Hogan, remember the 56?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Took it out. We haven't seen one of these in 20 years and passed it around. And so, but a day of my dream come true. You dress in the Champions locker, okay, and you drive down Magnolia Lane to get there. So they give you these real formal invitations, Jimmy, and I still have them framed.
And you got to go in the actual clubhouse.
Yes.
Because you brought me back a divot tool,
yes,
and 2 markers that came from the clubhouse, not
and the
from
clubhouse is small, man. The actual clubhouse, you wouldn't think that's the clubhouse when you're on the grounds. It's not that big, but you got to go in the actual clubhouse and shop and all that. Yeah, so
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's one of our stories. Hey, we don't want to tell about our stories all the time, but I was going to say, as we went to those Cowboys games, we got to go in those locker rooms. You know what I mean? And see those guys up close and personal. And I was on the field the last time that Tom Landry coached the Cowboys. Didn't know at the time he was walking away. Kevin Long has video of it, and he walks right by me and leaves the stadium. And he never coached there again.
Wow. And it seems like yesterday.
It does. A
long time ago.
Yeah. Hey, last one we got for you. WNBA is kind of taking it by storm. Caitlin Clark, in my opinion, is the reason for that. I actually watched her debut game. I can't remember. I don't think I've ever watched an entire WNBA game.
It says right here, her debut game was the most watched in WNBA history.
Wow. Yeah, so I believe it.
She didn't have a great start.
No, I mean, they're going to make it tough on her.
Sure
they're Gardner. They ball hawked her. They did a lot. She still scored 20, but never really shot it that well. Had 10 turnovers. She'll get better. She's so good. Yeah. You know what I mean? She's so fun to watch. I think she was my favorite player in college basketball last year, bar men, women, whoever. Division I, Division II, Division III, it doesn't matter. And I think she's going to bring eyes to the game. And I'm happy for it. We've known a long time in this neck of the woods how great girls basketball can be. and to see it on a national level, I think it's going to take
I think
over.
this group of young ladies that have come out this year that have gone to that are going to give it a little bit of an elevation. I mean, obviously you got your Angel Reeses, but the young lady out of Stanford, Cameron Brink,
Yeah.
the girl from Connecticut that went to the Vegas team, they're going to bring what they took from college with them to that game, and I think it's going to help them. When our girls were little, we took them to San Antonio one time to go watch Diana Taurasi when she was a rookie, and she was injured and didn't get to play, and the girls were so disappointed. But we went to San Antonio and watched a ball game, and I'm telling you, there weren't many people in the stands
Right, yeah,
at that time.
yeah.
But those girls can play ball, and it was fun to watch, and obviously the father of 3 daughters, it was awesome for us to get a chance to see that in person.
No, I think it's awesome, and I think they're rewarding the athletes. They now have private planes, charter planes, I should say, that they get to fly to the games. I think that's long overdue for them. The salaries, I mean, I know everybody's shocked how low they are, but it's still a business, and you have to make money. And we'll see how. I hope the bump they're getting from Caitlin Clark and the rest of these young ladies, like you mentioned, I hope it continues. Where we have somebody to root for. I'm not sure we've ever had anybody quite like that to root for in the WNBA.
No, definitely not. Not since it was so in its infancy when Diana Taurasi and them came out, because she was a great player and still is.
Yeah.
But the media hype over the last couple of years that this young lady's brought to the table, that again, the Connecticut's and the Stanfords and the LSU kids and South Carolina, sending those kids to that, and the follow that they'll have from having those successful collegiate careers is only going to help that league.
Well, for so long they were compared to the men, like, oh, they can't dunk. That means they're not any good, things like that, which I never have bought into. It's a different game, but it's my favorite way the game is played is watching women's college basketball.
Well, it's far more team-oriented.
Far more team-oriented, but they also play the game right. I mean, they shoot they get who's ever the ball pretty much is open. Now, Caitlin Clark can be a ball hog, but she's deservedly so. She can flat out shoot it.
How many NBA players do you know that have 10 turnovers a game?
Not many.
Which means what? She's trying to get the ball to a teammate.
Yeah.
You know?
And she was also double teamed.
Oh,
a lot,
sure.
So
but she's
very true.
You don't see that in the NBA, and so there's ball movement in the women's game that you don't see. They're just getting from 94 feet to 94 feet.
I think anybody who's rooting for the WNBA to fail or go away, it's not going to happen. No. So get over yourself, and I'm just glad to see that the young women are being
and we live in an
rewarded.
area where girls basketball on the high school level is premier. And it's we're natural fans of it.
Yeah, we're used to it. I mean, they probably got a lot more publicity than the boys a lot of times, and deserved it. I mean, with the state title.
Very much so.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that, Jimmy. I appreciate your insight on all
Short
the
and to the
topics.
point, but just a topics-laced discussion today, and no guests, just us. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well, and we'll do this from time to time. We hope you enjoyed it as well. For Jimmy, I'm Lance Lahnert. This was the Fieldhouse Podcast. We'll see you soon.